Hi guys, welcome back to my book corner again. I'm so glad to have you here today. I'm super excited to cover another really amazing book. The book that we are covering today is Sylvanas by Christie Golden. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but I am a huge WoW fan. I've been playing WoW off and on since about 2008, and I've been very slowly working my way through the books, and I've been trying to complete them in order, but I just had to read the Sylvanas book, even though I read it out of order. I mean, it was just too good not to read. So I'm I'm really into the lore behind WoW. And this book is for people who definitely are into the WoW lore. I pre-ordered this one off of Amazon, and my hope for it was really just to get into some more of the lore, so things were explained that I had seen in game, and mostly the things that weren't making sense I wanted explanations for. So let's just dive in. What was this book about? As the title suggests, it is about Sylvanas. This book is all about Sylvanas and is written in the third person, but it gives tons of insight into her thoughts and feelings. The narrator is very aware of what is going on inside her head. It basically chronicles the story of her life when she's alive to when she's killed by Arthas, and then her time as the Banshee Queen, and then all the way through the most recent Shadowlands expansion. That being said, let's just jump right into the good stuff. What did I like about it? The backstory of her life was phenomenal. I can't possibly say that enough. It was so good. The game really does not do justice to her character. There was so much backstory about her life when she was living, what her family was like, what Silvermoon was like pre-Burning Crusade. Like it fulfilled all of my lore hopes and dreams in the best way. I can't say enough about that because I absolutely loved every single minute of this book. I gave, it did give me a lot of details that actually made me feel like I wish I could play WoW again from the start and experience it through new eyes, knowing all the things that I know now. I thought about the detail, most specifically the details that they invested time in around her life, were really fantastic, and it did a great deal to humanize her. I really didn't know much about her living life from the game, and I thought the book did a really nice job to supplement that and show you what she was really like before the Banshee Queen. And for me, that was huge. If you've played the game at all, you basically know she's an asshole. She's an asshole of the highest caliber in both BFA and in Shadowlands. And I really did feel like this book actually went a long way to redeem her. The next thing that I also loved was the amount of time that the book covered. It went through the vastness of her life. Now, for those of you who might not be familiar with WoW, we'll just say she's a high elf. Technically, we'll call her a blood elf for sake of continuity here. She's a high elf, and high elves live a very long time. And the book really covered very long span of her life. Basically, it covered from way before the Dark Portal opened, all the way up through and to the end of the most recent expansion. And it really helped to put in context a lot of the events that you've played through in the game over the years. It really hit on every major expansion and all of the really big points. So that brings me to my next point. I appreciated and loved that this book basically gave answers to a lot of the plot points from the game that made no sense and had no answers for me. I when I was playing in Burning Crusade, I couldn't really understand what was happening with the Sunwell and why things had went south the way they went. And I didn't feel like they did a good job, explaining that. That was covered in the book. That was touched on in a couple places. And it was just like a light bulb clicked on. Oh my gosh, this makes so much sense now. The book was more in depth about how she became a Banshee Queen and then her time with Arthas, including how she broke free. And I loved that aspect of it. I felt the game kind of scratched the surface on that, but the book really explained in detail what she was feeling, how it happened, the aftermath. It did a great job there. 10 out of 10. And then naturally, after the Arthas arcs and all of those things, the book dropped bombshells galore about Shadowlands. I'm not going to give any spoilers. I don't want to ruin it. But it basically explained why she actually burned down the world tree, why she committed genocide of the Forsaken, why she allied herself with the jailer. Like I said, I'm not going to give you guys spoilers. I'm not going to tell you any of the reasons why because I actually want you guys to read the book and I don't want to ruin it. But holy hell, read the book just for that reason alone. It explained so much of the missing information from the game. Some WoW developer once said that if you needed a book to explain the game, then you're telling the story wrong. Well, Blizzard, you're doing it wrong. I definitely needed this book to clear up so many confusions from the game. And now that I've read the Sylvanas book, I can honestly say I have all of the answers that I was looking for, and I'm much more satisfied with what happened in the book. In addition to that, though, coming back to the content of the inside of the book, another thing I really, really liked was the focus on Nathanos and Sylvanas. Just yes, yes, yes to this. I felt it was just a huge question mark around them. Like, why you're friends? Why you're calling her your lady? Why is he called your champion? It made no sense. But in the book, they go in depth on how they met, you know, what they mean to each other, and I just loved these two and everything about their story together. This was a really one of the most excellent parts in the book, I think, and one of the best parts in the book too. It showed her in another light and it tied up the loose ends and all of the confusion that I was talking about. And I know I'm being vague, but I don't want to give anything away if you haven't read the book. Just know that the Nathanos and Sylvanas storyline really makes this book great and really adds something to the story. But of course, it wouldn't be me if I didn't tell you guys the things that I don't like about it. So I'm nitpicking here for sure. But there were a lot of times in the book that I really didn't like her attitude, and I felt she was super ungrateful. And she also, had this attitude and just she couldn't see all the good things right in front of her, basically. A lot of what she's done in her life definitely has made her a really, really bad person. Again, I won't go into specifics, but it was good that the book didn't sugarcoat it, which I appreciated because there's a lot of bad and a lot of good about her. Um, but some of the things she does really are a hard pill to swallow. I understand though why it's in the book because it's staying true to her story and who she was as a character, both good and bad. But there were times I was super annoyed with her, and that didn't sit well with me. I I get it. I get it. It definitely was necessary to the plot, but there were a couple times I put the book down and came back an hour or two later because I was just annoyed with her attitude. And another part of the book that will make sense if you have played the Shadowlands expansion, really, a thing that really irritated me was the fact that she had been condemned to a life of suffering in the Maw by the Arbiter. The Arbiter, quite frankly, irritates the hell out of me. I think the whole idea of the Shadowlands and the Shadowlands expansion really was garbage. But surely there are even worse characters in the universe than Sylvanas. And I thought she was worthy at a chance of redemption. And the fact that the Arbiter doomed her to a lifetime of suffering, kind of BS. I understood why she was mad, and I really didn't like that part of the book. That left a really bad taste in my mouth. And lastly, the fact that this book wouldn't make sense to pretty much anybody who hasn't played WoW or knows about WoW, I think is a pretty strong mark against it. I think if you played the game and you love the game, you're absolutely going to love this book. It's going to make total sense, but I read it because I know the WoW lore and I'm genuinely interested in the WoW story. It adds something to the gameplay that I've already gone through. But if I hadn't played the game, I would have been completely clueless to probably 90% of this book or more. In my opinion, it would be difficult for somebody who has no clue what's going on because you're missing so much backstory that is not ever going to get explained for you. But now, the most important part, my rating. Yes, the rating. You guys know the scale. I went back and forth on this one for a while. I wanted to give it 4, and I was hopping between 4 and 3, and ultimately I settled on 3 hearts. No. 3 hearts is good, guys. 3 hearts, in my opinion, is a really positive review. There is nothing wrong with 3 hearts. If you're a WoW fan, this book is an absolute must read. No question. Go buy it, read it. It has reread value. You're going to love it. It was a fantastic book. It's going to answer so many questions for you about events in the game that the game doesn't answer. And just for that alone, too, you should read the book. But the thing about the book I really like, too, is the fact that it shed new light on Sylvanas for me and changed my mind about whether or not she was a redeemable character. The game does a really terrible job, in my opinion, with her redemption arc. They have spent years trying to make you hate her without giving you any clues as to why. And the book, pretty much for me, cleared up all of this. I now understand her character more, and still, a lot of what she did was awful. There's no way about that. But I think she's redeemable now, and I understand why she has that story arc. But I don't recommend this book to you if you've never played WoW. Yeah, you could probably get some enjoyment from the story, but I think too much of the context is lost, so I would steer away from it if you've never played the game. For WoW fans, if you haven't read this book already, seriously, what are you waiting for? Oh my god, go read this book. You will not be disappointed. And as always, my friends, please let me know what you think. Have you guys read it? And if you haven't read it, will you read it? If you did read it, tell me what you thought about it. Please leave me a comment. I would love to talk about this book because I really loved it. And if you like the content, please obviously consider subscribing to my channel. But until the next book, I will see you guys soon. Thanks for stopping in. Bye.